Hi, and welcome to Computer Defense Forces demo video for Validator in a Box Enterprise Vibe. I'm Joshua, and I'll take you through this demo. Let's talk a little bit about why Vibe in the first place. The NIST RMF process can be very cumbersome at times, especially during RMF Step 3, which is your testing area. A moderate system can have about 495 controls with about 2,760 test cases, and that's just rough estimates or rough numbers. They're not exact numbers. This can take a while for somebody to handle, especially with all the plans, the policies, the other documents that need to be in place to make it legitimate to say that you've dotted every I, crossed every T, as well as the technical requirements of design documents and everything else. So what Vibe is an automated RMF solution that handles a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And let's get started with just showing the setup and the ease in which it sets up. So you'll see here that you have the Vibe setup. You'll click on that. It will launch the installer. And you'll see it here. Let's go ahead and install it. That's the installation. If you can see, it was that quick. It's a light application that does a lot of work, so it doesn't take up a lot of burden. This can be used on your standard Windows workstation. Let's go ahead and launch it. Okay, so when it launches, you'll see that there's what's called an accreditation manager. This is what handles your different accreditations. So let's say you have 2, 3, 4 different systems that you're accrediting. This will keep track of them and let you work on each one individually. So let's get started with adding the new one. Now this is going to start with, hey, what's your accreditation name? We're going to run this as demo. And another mandatory field in this one is going to be your command logo. We'll just use all the service branches as that. And then, of course, your service branch. Just choose one. And you'll see some information on here. This is actually information that will be utilized throughout all of your plans, your policies, your documents, your artifacts. This is basically a who's who in the zoo is the best way to say that this is what this is asking for. And you go through and fill all this in, and then you only have to fill it in one time because then it pulls to wherever it needs that information in all the different documents. So let's start filling that in. As you can see that it goes up, so it still tells you exactly what it's looking for, even when you're putting it in. And I'm going to pause it here and fill this stuff in, and no sense holding you all while I do that. All right, now we're back. As you'll see, the information is all filled in. We just went ahead and used the word demo instead of putting actual names in here. The important part about this is that we did say that the application name or your system name is mandatory, and also your command logo is mandatory. And a couple of the top areas, these are mandatory fields, this top row. Everything else is very flexible because we know that not everybody has the same team members for the NIST RMF accreditation, but these are the standard NIST RMF team members and accreditation officials that you would need. So we'll go ahead and just click done there, and that starts us into there. Starts us into our actual application. Let's begin by, of course, categorizing our system. Now, the point behind this is to try to assist in all of the heavy lifting, including how to categorize your system. We've got your top level categorizations as well as your sub levels, which become your actual data types, information data types. So let's just select one. And let's say, does your system process information related to planning and budgeting? Planning and budgeting involves the activities of determining strategic direction. And let's say, yes, we do. So we dropped it down. And now we figure out which one it actually applies to us. Let's say, does your system process information related to capital planning? Capital planning involves the process for ensuring that appropriate investments are selected for capital expenditures. Let's say, sure there. And let's randomly select another one. Does your system process, let's say, legislative? That works. C27. And let's say, related to legislation testimony, capital planning and legislation testimony. Let's just go ahead and go next there. Describe how the information is used in your system. Let's say used for test demo purposes. Again, it shows you what you're looking for, capital planning, and then it's asking you for how is the capital planning used in your system. It shows your initial DoD defined baselines. Let's override this one and make this a moderate system. Let's say that this is a mandatory field now. Why are you changing this field? And we're going to say because we are demoing the change to conf. And let's go ahead and change integrity also to moderate. Same thing. The nice thing about this is the copy paste feature. So let's use that same reasoning, except we're going to change that to be integrity. And then let's switch up the availability. Let's move this to moderate also. We'll use the same thing, except of course we'll say availability. There we go. And then we're going to go through and use for demo purposes, we'll use the same wording for legislative testimony. Paste that in there, hit next. Of course, it's going to ask for classification of our data. Unclassified information classification is different than the system classification. So we'll say our data is still unclassified, and we'll say it's FOUO. The mission description of our system is demo testing RMF automation process. And the concept of the system would be to make the RMF process easier. Let's say that we have privacy overlay. It's that simple right there. We picked privacy. And now it's going to ask us some questions. I'm selected it right there. You see where it's selected at the top. It's going to ask us a few questions about interconnected systems, external services, and the likes. And let's say we do have some interconnected systems. Let's say we use VRAM connected, executive orders, overreaching since we're DoD. Let's say executive order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And we're going to go through and just mark some of these as yes, clearance need to know, all military. Actually, we'll leave the clearance need to know off since we marked this as an unclassified system. Let me fill the rest of this in and I'll be right back. It is also important to know that we actually have CyberSafe already worked into here. So if this is SPAWAR or one of the other organizations under SPAWAR that requires a CyberSafe grade, it's already included. You do have your Alpha Bravo or Charlie that you can select in here. All right, so that is it for the categorization portion. We hit next. Now we go to look at our deliverables. You'll see here where it shows that we're done with categorization. It's been completed, and we're ready for the deliverables. So let's export that deliverable. And let's go into desktop, and we'll call it Divide Demo. Artifacts, RMF step 1, and we'll put that in there. Done, and let's take a look at that artifact. All right, as I showed you a little bit earlier, we put in all of the relevant personnel's names already when we started to set up the systems. So that naming is already in here. These were the answers to those questions that I was just showing you of whether we use an executive order, and there's the executive order. If we have any interconnected systems, there's the interconnected systems. Joint authorization, I put yes, there's that, and then also CyberSafe grade. This also has, if we selected yes for any of the intelligence activities, here also is your mission description and also your concept of operations of your system. This shows your information types as well as how the information type is used that we put into the system. And you'll see here that it shows both the provisional over the DoD baseline as well as what you modified it to. And also if you modified it, it shows your reasoning behind there. Then it takes all of those and gives you a watermark of your total watermark of the system. And I'll show you in the system again how that is actually displayed for the rest of the time when you're working with your application or your system accreditation. And there it is at the top, moderate, 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 the same as you saw in your categorization. So let's go into RMF step 2, control selection, and we'll do that via the next video.